Hello, YouTube. It's William again with the To Be
Deece
Named
podcast.
podcast. So we're going to go over blue. If you need our intros again, since this is part 2, I definitely recommend going back and watching our review on the white cards. But for now, we're just going to jump right into blue. Capture Sphere. 3 and a blue. For a enchantment aura with flash, it is a common enchant creature. When Capture Sphere enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature, and enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. It's almost a Luminous Bonds with flash.
So this card's actually a little better than Luminous Bonds, I think.
Yeah, because the tap abilities can't be used on cards.
So so the guild mates or guild mages or whatever, like a lot of their activated abilities are tap. Also, this stops cards from being used for Convoke.
Right. Yep. I think this is a solid limited card. I'm gonna say it's like a 3.5. It's just a good thing to ice down.
I think it's just a 3.
Yeah, it's a. I mean, it is nice that it has flash. I think a 3 is more aligned though.
Yeah, maybe 3.5 is a little high. I might have to reevaluate this when I see more blue. But
it's like weird the number rankings, but like this card's like slightly better than Luminous Bonds, but like not a ton better.
I think it's a 3.25. It's definitely splashable, as we had said as we said about Luminous Bonds, and the fact that it's flash definitely helps out with kind of end of turn / blowing out a combat that they're gonna have an Alpha Strike for.
It's just a Pokemon. Yeah. It's just a Pokeball.
I'm going to update my ranking to a 3.35 because I feel like that more accurately describes how I feel.
Come on now, we're doing a 0.25 rating system, aren't we?
I did 3.5 on that one, so and I'm the one that can edit the spreadsheet. So fight me.
It's a solid B-.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, don't put letters in my math. Okay, math is already bad enough. Stop including letters. All right. Chemister's Insight. 3 and a blue for an instant. It says draw 2 cards. It also has the text Jumpstart, which we haven't seen before, so I'm going to read this in full. I won't read it in full for the rest. You may cast this card from your graveyard by discarding a card in addition to paying its other costs. Then exile this card. So if anybody's played with Flashback, it's very similar to that. If anybody's played with Retrace, it's very similar to that. This mechanic is just a mashup of those 2 mechanics.
Yeah, that's why it has 2 words. Obviously, it's flavorful. Don't you see, Wolzak?
Right, exactly. It's trace back.
So there's 2 words to it. It's flavorful. That's why it's a 2-word keyword.
Oh, sure, obviously. Exactly. I hate the phrase jumpstart, but I won't get into that here. It's my least favorite named mechanic, but irrelevant. I think Chemister's Insight is quite good, not only in limited but also in constructed. We've got 2 different draw 2 instants rotating right now, and this card just lets you turn dead lands in late games in decks where you want to draw 2 into 2 fresh cards.
Yeah, Glimmer and Illumination are both rotating. This is like the new inspiration card that's going to see a lot of play. Very good with Surveil, which we'll also get to later in this review. This card's a major player in constructed.
Definitely.
It'll see like this. You'll see there'll be plenty of decks to play for of this card main deck. This is like kind of the premium draw spell for blue currently.
Yeah, I've got it at a. Sorry, go ahead. As for limited.
Yeah, for limited, it's like fine. It is card advantage. Like this is essentially draw 4, discard 1, but like a lot of mana to do that.
Yeah.
But you do get to discard a land late game, which like anytime there's any card that lets you discard a land for more cards than limited, it's always quite good.
Definitely, just turn a dead card into real cards. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Anything unique to add on this one? Clearly, it's a very powerful card.
Yeah, I think it's just a powerful card and constructed like a 3.5, and then in limited it'll be good in the value decks that want to draw a lot of cards. Right. I'm not sure how many of these kind of cards you want though. 1 or 2 is probably the max. I don't think you want to just have like 3 of them.
No, and it is an uncommon, which I don't know if I said. So I mean, you may not even see more than that in a single draft.
Something that wasn't brought up by any of you guys is that it does help you play silver bullet cards, because if the silver bullet cards aren't any good, you can discard them in jumpstart. So like they destroy all toughness 4 or greater. You could reasonably play one of those in your deck as a hedge against mono green snappies and constructed. So I do think
that was a good point.
Definitely a 3.5 in constructed, and a 2.5, 3 in limited.
Yeah, I like numbers paid. Total had like 2.5 to 3 in limited, and like 3.5 constructed.
Yep. Seems good. Ian, you got any numbers for me before we move on to the next card?
Yeah, like a 3.5 in constructed, and probably like a 3 in limited.
So just quickly before we move on to the next card, we said constructed a lot. So standard, obviously. Outside of standard, probably not.
No, not outside. So. Haven't you heard? Hieroglyphic elimination is basically Ancestral Recall in Modern.
That's true. And you can mystical teachings for it.
Oh, stop. Yeah, this card's not Modern playable.
Get him, William.
Or else, just standard.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree that that one's probably not playable in Eternal formats. All right, City Watch Sphinx. That's not very easy to say for somebody like me. 5 and a blue. It is a creature Sphinx. It is a 5/4. It has flying, and it says when City Watch Sphinx dies, surveil 2. And we haven't talked about surveil yet, so let me just quickly go over that. You look at the top 2 cards of your library, then put any number of them into your graveyard, and the rest on top of your library in any order. So it's like Scry, but instead of putting cards on the bottom of your library, you put them straight into your graveyard.
Exactly. It's what Search Rose Content does in your upkeep.
Right.
It is like, it's just Scry. Yep. This card is a giant flying thing.
Yep.
It's very good loaded.
And if they ever, if they ever kill it in limited, obviously if you hit 6 mana, you probably aren't going to be wanting to hit 7 and 8 in most limited decks and most limited formats. So it can let you clear dead cards, dead land drops from the top of your deck. But that is if they can somehow kill your giant uncommon 5/4 flyer.
Surveil can also put Jumpstart cards in the graveyard for limited and constructed, for that matter.
Right.
Which it's going to be more relevant, I think, in limited. But putting Jumpstart cards in your graveyard from your deck, it's like pretty good.
I think it's relevant in both, but we'll probably hit more on that when we hit the gold cards, I think.
Yeah, it is relevant in both, but like I think off the top of my head, I think Chemist's Insight is really the only Jumpstart card that's like really going to see play in constructed.
Yeah.
There's like one other card that's like kind of fringy that I heard some people talking about, but I don't love. But yeah, there's a lot of Surveil cards that are good though.
Definitely.
This card's just a giant dragon that'll kill your opponent most likely.
Definitely.
It's good. Like 3.
Oh yeah,
maybe higher than 3.
I kind of had it as like a now that we're doing point stuff, I had it like a 3.25.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
slightly higher than a 3 probably.
Yeah. All right, I'll put you down for a 3.25 as well then.
I want 3.15.
You want 3.15 apple pie? All right.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So
this card's like I don't know if it's even that high. I think 6 mana is a lot.
For just a giant flying beater. I mean, how many Cloud Reader Sphinxes did you play in whatever set that was in, Dominaria?
I think that there's a difference between the Enter the Battlefield and the Death trigger.
It's a 5/4. It's so big.
Yeah.
I know, but I mean, maybe
4-turn clock.
Yeah,
Cloud Reader Sphinx was a 5-drop though too.
Yeah,
so.
they're more incentivized to kill this though. So not only do you get to better scry 2, you are pressuring them in a massive way.
I mean, I'm hoping I never get to Surveil 2 with this card.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm hoping that I just play it and I kill my opponent.
Yeah.
This card's huge.
So if you don't have it,
it's a big boy.
If you don't have it as high as a 3.25, what do you have it as, Ian and Aaron? And any unique thoughts as you're spewing numbers?
I think it's like a 2.5, 2.75. It may be a 3, but I don't think it's like something that you want to put in all your blue decks.
It's fair.
I think this goes in every blue deck, and it's a 3.
Okay.
All right. Dazzling
But I just don't
Lights.
think like I think this is such more of sorry. This is more of a Dimir card than an Izzet card. Like I could see Izzet having a lower curve and not wanting to play this card.
Definitely. I can see that. Ready for Dazzling Lights?
Yes.
A single blue instant. Target creature gets -3, -0 until end of turn. Surveil 2. I think
Another
this
combat
card's-
trick.
Yeah, I think
This
it's
one's not
another
very good, though.
combat trick. It's serviceable. I mean, you're not going to first pick it, but I mean, it's decent. And
I try to stay away from these cards that just give minus attack.
I agree. I'm with Ian on this.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of this card. Like, I do not want to play this card. If I play this card, like, I'm gonna be. Something will have gone wrong if I'm playing this card.
Right. It's also relevant as we continue on. There are a bunch of cards in red and blue-red that care about instants and sorceries, and the fact that this is a 1-mana spell that can maybe upgrade your things that care about instants and sorceries is not irrelevant. It's easier to keep up 1 mana to kind of upgrade some of those cards during the middle of combat. So it may be better than you guys are realizing kind of on first glance if you don't have those other contextual cards on your mind. But maybe I'm far off on that one.
It's a fair point.
Yeah, it's cool with Mentor, but I'm still not.
Yeah, I'm still gonna like put it as like a 1.5.
Oh yeah, no,
think-
I am there with you. It is like a 1.5, but it's definitely cute with some of the Izzet aligned cards that we'll get to later on in the review.
I think a lot of these Surveil Cares cards are going to value this a lot higher than where people are aiming it now. So I feel like there's a ton of Surveil Cares cards the later we get into this format review, so...
Yeah,
I would
can
agree with you
see that.
more, but there's a ton of cards that say Surveil as well. Like,
Yeah, it's true.
This is just like the worst one.
Yeah. So you guys have it how? One?
I have a 1.
Okay, the
One.
throw you a little higher on that than 1.5, or
I'm at a 2, I think.
interesting. All right.
It's a 1-mana Surveil too, so...
Yeah, and again, this is only the 4th combat trick we've seen thus far.
Yeah, it's true.
Devious Cover Up is our next card. It is 2 blue for an instant. It says counter target spell. If that card is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it to its owner's graveyard, and you may shuffle up to 4 target cards from your graveyard into your library. I don't really know what to think about this card. It's probably not great in limited. You might play it in sealed. Yeah, but it's 4 mana.
It's super weird, for sure.
It's definitely a weird one. I think that it's really cool in multiples. That's I saw Sam Black talk about how he wants to pick like first pack one, pick one this so that he can get a second one and then just loop them. I think that's pretty cool, but I don't know how good that is.
That definitely sounds like a Sam Black-esque play there.
So, after seeing white, this card looks terrible, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like, all
yeah.
the white cards are, like, very aggressive and, like, cheap. Oh, it's like 1/1s and 2/2s and, like, aggressive, like, cheap creatures, right? Like, this card looks terrible.
I think we saw maybe like 3 or 4 cards over 4 mana that we enjoyed like highly.
Yeah, this card, I think that I would not be unhappy to play this card in sealed. Like, at pre-release, if I open this and if I'm in blue, there's a good chance this makes my deck. Not guaranteed, depends how good my deck is. But, like, I am more willing to play counterspells, especially unconditional counterspells, in sealed, because sealed formats generally tend to be bomb-oriented, so if you can counter the bomb, and exile especially, it's usually pretty good. But I think in draft, this card is usually unplayable. Maybe it's a sideboard card. Like, if your opponent has, like, the 6-mana Angel, right, and you're like, oh, I can't beat this card, separate this in.
Right. is kind of cool that it exiles the card, but again, I don't know how relevant it's going to be.
I think this is like a 1.5, like a sideboard 1.5.
Yeah, that's kind of where I had it as well.
Yeah.
Any dissenting opinions?
No. Like I said, it's kind of cool in multiples. That's about it.
Yeah. So you have it as a 1.5 as well? You have it higher because you want to do some cool loops with it, or?
Sure. Yeah. Maybe a 2. I don't know. I don't really know how to evaluate it.
Yeah, this card is weird.
Fair.
I mean,
counterspells in limited are really weird.
Yeah.
If this becomes a bomb-centric format and let's say you're surveilling yourself literally out of the game, I feel like this card will go up in value.
Right.
And or let's say you're jump starting yourself out of the game. Say you got 3 draw 3 or draw 2s, and all of a sudden you need to get some of those cards that you discarded back because you're looking for answers instead of trying to keep cards that you actually needed. So I'd say it's probably a 2. I'd say it's going to see more play than people would expect, but it's not going to probably make the main deck of every deck.
Right. All right. Dimir Informant, 2 and a blue for a human rogue. It is a common. It is a 1/4, and it says when Dimir Informant enters the battlefield, surveil 2. The most important part of this card is that it says human rogue. Rogue Tribal.
Rogue Tribal.
I do love this card though. Like, I like this card a lot. This is the kind of card where, like, if I need surveil cards, I want to play this card.
Oh yeah.
Like, this card reminds me a lot of Sailor Means, where it's just like this wall that has an extra, like, a thing attached to it. Where that thing, like, it's surveil 2 instead of making a treasure, where, like, surveil is also relevant in other things.
Right.
I like this card a lot.
Oh yeah. I mean, just solid body. Surveil 2 is obviously a very powerful effect.
That being said, I don't think it's great. I think it's like a 2.5, maybe. But, like, it's just the kind of card I like.
Yeah. After seeing how aggro some of the other things were, I think that 1/4 stat is probably right where you want to be. I don't think you're dead on turn 3, so this can definitely stem the bleeding, make some unfavorable attacks, and maybe your opponent just doesn't attack, which is kind of what you want to do against aggro decks. You just tell them, no attacking for you this turn, which is pretty good.
Yeah. I like this card. It's I think it's like a decent blue card to kind of just get you to the late game in limited, but obviously I think it's also just a limited card only.
Oh yeah. I don't think it has really any constructed applications whatsoever.
No, just a common.
Yeah.
Limited only, but I think most blue decks will play this card. I think it's like a 2.75.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah, I could definitely see that. All right. Disdainful Stroke. It's a reprint.
Ooh.
Yeah. 1 and a blue, instant, at common. Counter target to fairy. Oh, no, that's not what the card says. Excuse me. Counter target spell with converted mana cost 4 or greater.
This card is great.
Yeah, I think it's a much needed card to enter back into standard.
Yep.
I actually think this is one of the hardest cards I think it's probably the hardest card to evaluate in the set. For constructed at least. So I think it's, like, obviously a good sideboard card.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know how many copies you want. Also, I don't know, like, this card was main deckable last time it was in standard. And I don't know if it is yet. And this is like a card that I'm going to need to see the format to see how many copies I want to play of this card. If I want to play one in the main deck. And, like, again, playing one in the main deck is also fine, like Aaron said earlier, with the Jumpstart cards.
Yeah.
To be able to discard it. In limited, I think this is strictly a sideboard card. I don't think you can, like, ever main deck this card in limited.
100% agreed.
Maybe in sealed. Maybe in sealed.
Yeah, I think in sealed it's a little bit more of a bomby type of format, so it's like a little bit more realistic to play it because you can have a higher curve.
Yeah. But, like, as a sideboard card in limited, I think this is a good sideboard card.
Yeah, definitely. I think you'll just pick up, a lot of these towards the end of the draft anyway. So I mean, please don't waste any picks on it. But I mean, It's a decent card.
Look at this card like you did Naturalize or Negate.
Yeah, definitely.
Basically.
Definitely. It's a premium sideboard card, but not more than that. Alright, ready for Dream Eater?
Yeah.
Alright.
This card I think is hard to evaluate as well.
Definitely. It is 4 blue for a Nightmare Sphinx. It is a mythic. It is a 4/3. It has flash, flying, and when it enters the battlefield, surveil 4. When you do, you may return target non-land permanent and opponent controls to its owner's hand. That's a lot going on this 6.
I'm going to start this off with, have any of you ever scryed for in any of the previous scry formats?
I have.
What card scryed for? Like 4C? Did that card scry
I'm
for?
talking about like old scry cards. Like none of the recent scry cards have scryed for.
Yeah, no.
You know, like scry, like whenever you scryed for in previous formats, you felt like you couldn't lose.
Right.
And Surveil 4, I have a feeling, is going to feel a lot like the same.
Now, is that strictly? Are you talking strictly for
limited?
For limited, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, for limited.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like you're just never going to lose if you ever Surveil 4. Because
I agree.
You're going to just set up the next, let's say 2 to 3 turns of having perfect draw for anything that your opponent could need.
Definitely.
And on top of that, you could definitely just bounce their best card at the end of the turn and then surveil a counterspell like a Disdainful Stroke, or I forget what the other counterspell was called just before.
Yeah,
but you could
scry
that to the top and then just get their best spell on the way back down.
Yeah.
In limited, I'm not, or in limited it's a bomb.
Oh yeah.
In constructed, I am not sure. It's very difficult. It can get countered, so it makes it less good.
I think that this card is actually a really interesting control card for control mirrors, because it's so like, let's say I guess this isn't like always gonna happen because this is cost 6, but you can like flash this in response to a Teferi coming down, like, or not the Teferi coming down, but the untapping of the lands of Teferi, so that like their shields are down, and you can then bounce the Teferi, which is interesting. I don't know if that's like the practical application for this card, but I do think that in order for this card to be good, you need to want the effect of returning the non-land permanent to the opponent's hand, besides it just being like a Surveil 4 card. The flash is nice, but it is a 4/3 for 6, so it dies to a lightning strike, which is relevant. So I don't see this card, like, you're gonna sideboard this card out against like every red deck if you have it in your blue deck and your main deck. So it might be more of a sideboard card where you want to like play, like you want like a flashy threat against control. I don't know though. It's a really weird card.
Yeah, it's definitely really tough to evaluate. It's one of the few cards that on my notes I just didn't write anything. I was just like, I had no idea. But definitely in limited, I think it's a 4.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like a mythic to me. I don't know. And maybe have a higher standard.
So I think the trap with this card is like thinking it's like looks like a control card, but I don't think this card's a control card.
Interesting.
I look at this card, I evaluate it closer to not it's not exact, but I evaluate it closer to something like Elder Deece, where it's like a big like tempo card.
Yeah.
Where when Elder Deece was really good because you could like chain them together and tempo them out. And I think this is similar. I think the Surveil 4 helps you find other copies of it, and you like flash this in, bounce their thing, untap, like attack with it, and then hold up your other one to bounce their thing again, Surveil 4 again to find another one, and like you just chain them together in like kind of a tempo deck. I don't know if that deck exists.
Like,
I know. I agree.
That has a 6 drop. I don't know.
Well, I mean, like again, like the Elder Deece decks used to cast it for 8 mana, and it was fine. It's
yeah, but it's not strictly 8 mana. That's the problem, right? Like you were casting it for a lot less most of the time.
You were sacking 2 drops a lot, though. It was like pretty common. So this card again, I don't like this card. I'll be straight. I don't think this card is very good and constructed. But if it sees play, I think it's going to be in a more of a tempo deck where you're like kind of just doing these tempo things and drawing some cards early, and then like just like chaining these together one after another and trying to kill your opponent really fast after you resolve this.
Yep.
It's fair.
Yeah, I don't think it's good in control deck though. Like this card's not good in a control deck.
Right.
Does not give you card advantage. It's easy to kill. Like,
I mean, it is card advantage, not necessarily. Like sometimes with the surveillability, it can be card advantage.
kind of.
I mean, if you put a bunch of jumpstart cards in your graveyard, it's almost like you're putting it in your hand. Obviously, like then you have to discard a card to play it, and yada yada. But it's not necessarily. There's a possibility that you like kind of gain some sort of card advantage with it.
Yeah. I have this card in limited. I agree, it's a bomb. Like it's card to 4 in limited. Like again, not no one comments. I'm going to take over this card.
Right.
In constructed, I have it as a 2, maybe 2.5. I don't see a deck for it right now.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree with that. I would probably say it's like a 2.5 in constructed as well.
And 4 for bomb limited.
Yeah, limited bomb.
Yep.
Yeah. So about the next card that I hate so much. I hate this card so much.
Any numbers for me, Aaron, on that one?
I'd said it was a 4 before, and then I think it's probably like a 2 in constructed.
Okay. Sounds good. Alright, Drowned Secrets. 1 in a blue for an enchantment. Whenever you cast a blue spell, target player puts the top 2 cards of their library into their graveyard.
I hate this card.
Yeah.
Why did they make this card?
This card is kind of bonkers, not because you're going to instantly start milling the opponent with your blue cards. I think the first applications of this card is you're going to start targeting yourself, so your deck is only Nexus of Fates.
Yeah. So the obvious thing this goes in is Nexus of Fate deck. So the whole plan of this deck is, instead of being like Bant where you ramp and just like play a bunch of Nexus of Fate and they're playing like Charter Course and stuff to get through their deck, you play this card and just a bunch of like Anticipates and stuff, and you're like this like tempo, you play like 4 Blinkling Eyes, and you just like play this tempo like hyper mill yourself with Teferi deck, and you can just like get yourself down to like 20-ish cards with the flip Search for Escanta really fast. This also helps flip your Search for Escanta really fast.
Yeah.
And then you just take infinite turns with like something out. It doesn't really matter. Even if you have nothing out, you can just take infinite turns and mill them out.
The question
is... You don't even need to
have
have anything else. You don't need to have a Teferi in play. You don't need to have anything. You just need to have this in play, and if you can just cast Nexus of Fate every turn, you just mill them out.
Yep.
The question is, how do you beat the mirror?
You have Teferis and Karns.
True.
You have to play the new thought or the new like surgical extraction card.
I don't think so. I think like the list I had was just blue white.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to play black. I think Karn's fine. I think having like 1 or 2 copies of Karn in your deck is enough.
Definitely.
All right. What about limited? Is this going to
limited?
Unplayable.
So I'm normally actually pretty high on mill cards in limited, especially enchantments that are repeated mill. But I think this one's bad. I think 2 cards.
Restricted.
2 cards is not a lot, and you have to cast a blue spell to do it. So you need to like it's hard to do that. You need to cast a bunch of blue spells for this to be good. So like maybe if you're mono blue in draft, I could see like so. I already can tell at the Pro Tour someone's gonna have like a deck that has 3 of these, and they're gonna be like this mono blue deck with a bunch of bounce spells, and they're just gonna like wreck, right? But like this card's a terrible top deck, right? If you have like just one of them, because it just does nothing, essentially. And like you need to have you need to do very heavy blue for this, and it's a multicolored set. I do not think this card's good and limited.
Yeah, I'm kind of in agreement there. Do you think it's good and limited, Aaron?
I think this card is definitely going to see play out of sideboards and limited if there's going to be long grindy games, or if there's going to be people like trying to surveil and basically mill half their deck, or Golgari and put a lot of their deck in the graveyard. I feel like this card could be a reasonable win condition for Izzet. Because I think against those 2 decks specifically it'll be good. Against any other it will not be as good. So I agree with the constructed in standard. I do not see it seeing play in any other format though.
Yeah, I don't think it sees play outside of the next Fate deck either. Like, I don't like maybe it's a mirror card, like a control mirror card, but even then, I don't think it's very good in the control mirror because like people usually bring in Invoke Divines anyway for their opponents' search for Skantas and stuff, and they have like fairies. And yeah, I don't think this card's. I don't think it's cards where you want to be for a, like sideboard mirror tech. I think it's really just the next Fate deck.
No. So I had it as a 4 in constructed, 2.5 in limited. So the exact opposite as you guys own Dream Eater.
I don't know if it's a 4 in constructed. Maybe it is.
I don't think it's a 4. I don't think this necessarily makes the deck a deck. Like, I think that it helps, but there's going to be other problems that deck needs to overcome in order to still.
I agree. Yeah, like next Fate is not guaranteed tier 1 now. Like,
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's a 3. It's a 3 constructed.
Yeah, it's playable in that deck.
2 in limited against specifically the Golgari and the Dimir decks. So
yeah, I like it 1.5 in limited. 1.5 in limited and like 3 in constructed.
Okay. Ian, you got any numbers for me?
Yeah, I think that it is a 2 in limited and a 3 in constructed.
Okay. Enhanced Surveillance. 1 in a blue for an enchantment. You may look at an additional 2 cards each time you surveil. Exile Enhanced Surveillance. Shuffle your graveyard into your library.
I want this card to be good. I like. So for limited, I don't think this card's very good.
No, I agree.
Dude, I think this card is amazing and limited if your opponent is on Drown Secret.
Sure.
I do think it's a sideboard card. Like, if your opponent is milling you, yeah, you bring this in if it's in your sideboard, right?
Right.
Or like again, like the same reason you'd bring in Drown Secret if like you're both control decks and you think the only way one of you wins is if you deck the other player. Like, this does stop you from decking, right? So like, in constructed, I could see a sideboard. Like, I could see playing this card in the sideboard for like a similar reason, like a Teferi Mirror that stops you from decking first. Although even then, like, Teferi Mirror is usually whoever gets their Teferi ult. That's usually wins it for decking. It comes down to decking. So this is a shuffle your graveyard back into your library effect. That is, you should know that this exists. If you ever want that effect, this is the card that does it.
Agreed.
I don't know if anyone wants it right now, but I think that the Surveil thing is like really powerful. Like, an additional 2 is a lot. I don't know if it's worth a card. Maybe if you're like super heavy Surveil and you have a bunch of synergies, but I don't know. I'm not sold on it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this is a cool card. It's a build around in both limited and constructed. If you have a deck for it, it could be playable, but I don't know if it's necessarily
Jerry Thompson will 100% like this card more than me for constructed his whole time. Like, he's all in on like milling yourself with surveillance stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really, really cool card, and I'm glad it exists. I think that there's definitely some applications for it eventually, but it's just going to depend on if we can actually get there. If there's enough benefit.
Definitely. Any additional thoughts or numbers for this?
I'm just going to put 2 for both because I don't think that the deck really exists yet for it.
Right. That's probably where I'm at too. Just seems.
I'm doing a 1.5 in limited and a 2 for constructed.
Okay.
If Surveil ends up needing to be able to cycle their decks in order not to deck out in limited, this is going to be like 2.5. Otherwise, it's like a 1.5. And a constructed, if we need a Elixir of Immortality effect, which I doubt it with Nexus of Fate, it'll be a 2. Otherwise, I see it being like a 1.
Yeah.
And Teferi attacking itself also like kind of puts it out of a job.
Yeah. All right. Guild Summit. 2 in a blue for an enchantment. When Guild Summit enters the battlefield, you may tap any number of untapped gates you control. Draw a card for each gate tapped this way. Whenever a gate enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card.
Are you ever gonna pass this card, Wilsock?
I don't know. I know I'm gonna draft a ton of gates, but it would be a really tough sell for me to like take this card and like really want to play it. As shocking as that is.
Really?
I don't.
Yeah.
I think this card is really bad.
Yeah.
This is the
Really?
$5 Dream Nut card, right? For like the Guild deck, or Guildgate.deck.
Yeah.
Dude, if I have six gates, this card's great.
Yeah, but you have to tap all of them, so it's like you're still only doing one thing.
I'll pay 6 mana to draw 3 cards.
You're
I'm
paying
down
9
with that.
mana.
No, you 3 and 3.
You have to tap any untapped gates you control, and you only tap them for those. So it's 3, and then 6. If you have 6 gates, they have to be untapped when it enters the battlefield.
No, I said 3 cards for 6 mana.
Oh, yeah, that
Yeah.
I don't know.
At sorcery
I'm
down with
speed.
that.
that
I'm
does
down
not
with that.
seem that good.
I
I
mean,
think that
I'll play this.
you play it on 3 for the second ability. It's better for the like playing the gates after the fact and drawing a card.
Oh, if it didn't have the second ability, this card wouldn't be playable. It
Yeah.
needs both abilities for it to be playable. But I think
I
it
don't
is
think
like
the
fine.
first. I think that you would rather play this on 3 and then just draw a card each time you play one instead of like playing the gates first. I feel like that's just
Yeah,
doesn't
but
make
like,
sense.
again, if it was
It just
only
it
that,
makes
then
it
like,
well. It makes it so that later in the game, if you draw it later,
Yeah.
it still has applications. Like I get that.
yes, yeah,
Like,
I think it's got.
if there's this uncommon in the pack and the jumpstart that draws 2 is in the pack, I'm taking the jumpstart that
Oh.
draws 2 100% of the time.
Yeah,
Like,
it's much better.
6 mana draw 3 is fine. Like, I don't know, but then like I think the only way it's super like good is if your deck has like a billion gates, and then you'd have to play it on like turn 5 just to cycle it, right?
I think this card's like a build around 2.5.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I have it as well.
I'll give you a build around 2.
Yeah.
I like this card.
I feel like
I don't think it's
this
very
card
good.
so early in order to. I mean, I guess maybe.
No, because no one wants it. You take the gates early, and then no one else has gates, and then no one else wants it.
Oh, I always take gates early, man.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, is you take the gates early, right? And then, like, if you have a bunch of gates, that means that the rest of the draft doesn't, so they're not going to take this card. Like, you don't take this card super highly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you
Like,
have a
this-
ton of gates and it's like a very, very late wheel, there might be some deck that plays this, but I just
This
don't
is
know.
the if you love something, let it go card, where, like, you just, like, you let this card go, and if it comes back to you, then it's meant to be.
Right. Yeah.
I think this is a 2.5 unlimited and not playable in constructed.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
not
it's just
playable
another,
and
like, it's like
constructed.
another goblin slide, or, like, whatever the enchantments that you, like, cast into sorceries make dudes, right?
Yeah.
It's not, it's much different, but, like, it's another, like,
And much
like that, where
worse.
it's like, if you're the deck for it, then no one else is.
Yeah, exactly.
No. All right, Leapfrog. 2 and a blue for a creature frog. That is a common. It is a 3/1, and it says Leapfrog has flying as long as you've cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn.
A+ for the name.
Yeah, oh yeah, A+ for the
Yeah.
name for sure.
The name's amazing. I
Mediocre card.
don't think this card is playable.
Unlimited?
I don't know. A 3 mana 3/1 that doesn't have mentor. Just like feel like it just gets outclassed by the mentor card.
No,
Like,
yeah.
I
This
don't
card's
know.
definitely worse than the mentor card. This card's like a 2. It's like a fine, it's like a whatever 2, like 20-second playable card.
So this feels like it was a Simic card when it first was created. Even if
Yeah.
it
Are
has
you just
Oh,
saying
yeah.
like it's a
Well,
frog?
flying isn't really. No, this is like an Izzet card. It just has a frog instead of like
do you,
a
do you remember
mantis.
the original or the second Return to Ravnica with Simic?
No.
It was a bunch of frogs.
I wasn't
I
around.
didn't think so.
Yeah.
I didn't think so. Get out of here with your shit.
Right.
This is Simic card.
You
This
didn't say
is
like it's a
Simic
frog.
card through and through, and they just added the instant sorcery text because they had nowhere else to put this card, and they wanted to include it.
Whatever. It's just a frog.
Yeah.
Boring.
Yep.
Next.
Boring. Next. Maximize altitude. Blue for a
Boring. Next.
Blue for a sorcery. Target creature gets +1/+1 and gains flying until end of turn. Jumpstart. Common sorcery. Again,
Energy's
boring.
all gone now, right?
Yeah.
Yes, energy is
So
gone.
that Pummeler combo is gone, so this is not a thing.
Nope.
Yeah.
100%
alright.
not a
No,
thing.
no Pummeler.
Yeah.
Limited only trick.
Not
gone.
even a trick. It's a sorcery.
Sorcery. Okay.
This card's really bad.
It's just
Unplayable
awful.
in every format.
Yeah.
I don't know if this card's completely unplayable and limited. Like if you're like white blue or red blue and you have like some mentor, like let's say you're a mishmash deck and you have some mentor cards, right?
Right.
Like maybe if you're an aggressive white blue or red blue deck.
I'll give you
like
that.
blue
If
is
you
your
want to
second
go
color.
Boros plus blue, this card fits into that deck. But that's the only application I see this.
But like I wouldn't splash this card in that deck because it's not good enough to
Yeah,
splash
you
in the
need,
Boros
you need
deck.
other cards in your
Yeah.
Boros deck for blue.
No, I need my Boros deck to go horribly wrong and me not to get one of the colors and have like blue be open, and like I'm like trying to fix my like Boros no red card deck with blue cards, and I'll like play this card.
All right. Mission briefing. I think this one's going to be one we might have to spend a little bit of time on. Mission briefing. Blue for an instant. Surveil 2, then choose an instant or sorcery card in your graveyard. You may cast that card this turn. If the card will be put into your graveyard this turn, exile it instead. I think this card's fantastic. Plus the fact that you don't have to target something upon casting, and that it's an instant you can find with Search for Azcanta and Constructed. I think this card's a bit of a house in Constructed.
Boo! I don't like this card.
You don't like this card?
No, I don't think this card's playable and constructed. I like thought a lot about this card. I think that the blue and only Surveil 2 to get something flashback. It's like I thought about it as a one of for like flexibility reasons. Like they just have a one of, so you can like flexibly flashback a spell randomly. But I don't think it's worth it. I don't think Surveil 2 is enough to warrant a card to flashback into the card. Like I'd rather play the regrowth effect or something.
I don't know. I think that this card is powerful still. Like I think that it's gonna find a home and construct it somewhere. Someone's gonna play like some sort of like red blue deck that wants a regrowth, and they're gonna use this card to do it.
Definitely.
Is this card better than like the Flood of Recollection though?
Yeah.
Flood of Recollection's a sorcery, right?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
sorcery,
but you don't have to cast the
and-
spell right away.
Yeah, but this card it has Surveil 2 as well. Like it just you can do it end step. Like this card is so much better than that card.
Yeah. I don't think either are playable though. I'm not a fan of this card.
A lot of people like this card for modern and like modern Storm.
Yeah, I've heard about it in Storm. I'm like not sold on that, but I have heard people talk about it in Storm. I think if this card was 1 in a blue, I'd be like much more down for it in Storm. But the fact that it's blue is like kind of a big deal for that deck.
If this card was 1 in a blue, I think we would all just be 100% over it. Like I don't think there would be any disagreement. I think at 1 in a blue would be just absurd.
No, I don't think I would like it at 1 in a blue in Standard.
I think with Manamorphose, this will definitely get played in Storm, probably as at least a one-off. Because you can just recast your Manamorphose with it. And you get two additional cards in your graveyard, or set up your draw from the Manamorphose.
Right, just free roll with Manamorphose.
Yeah, but then you exile your Manamorphose when you passive flames.
Yeah.
And you're down mana. Like you're down 2 mana.
You're down 1 mana if you have a
Oh yeah, you're down 1 mana if you have a guy.
And you also like is Surveil 2, like I mean I think that's relevant. Like I mean, you can just bend 2 irrelevant cards in a control, deck, bend useless lands, try to find good answers. You could even just like bend the answer that you're looking for when you're countering something.
So Surveil has been like a hotly debated thing so far. I know I think Brian Gottlieb wrote an article about how Surveil is like so much better than Scry, like significantly better than Scry.
Right.
I am not aligned with that thinking. I think that Surveil is better than Scry, but not like significantly better.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that.
I think it's significantly better in like a million different ways. I think it's just like almost strictly better.
Well, it is strictly better.
Yeah, I mean it is strictly better. It's just not
by
like
how much is really
I think that it's just allows you to have a bunch of other series in your deck that you weren't allowed to have previously.
Are we gonna have to do a whole podcast on Surveil?
No, we could have like a whole podcast on like
Mechanics.
constructed cards though, but like no, just like things for constructed. But that's not what this is.
Right.
Yeah, this card is highly contested. People will play it, like for sure. People will play it early in the format, like just to try it.
Yeah.
Like if nothing else, like people will put it in their deck and they will try it. Will it stand the test of time? That's like kind of the question. With this card.
I mean, I definitely think people will try it, and again, you know, it's really just see how well it does. On the surface, I really like it, but until I've actually played it, you know, I can't say for certain that it's, you know, fantastic. Reading it leads me to want to say that it's really good, but I don't know.
It's tough because like there's only one real card to compare to this, and that card is Snapcaster Mage. It's like one of the most busted cards they ever printed.
Yeah, I mean, this card is worse than Snapcaster Mage, but that doesn't mean that.
Yeah. But I know, but I think that's like it helps it and hurts it because like people compare it to Snapcaster Mage, like, oh, this card's nowhere near as good as Snapcaster Mage, but like no card has to be as good as Snapcaster Mage to be playable. But then like also people are like, well, this is like touching kind of what Snapcaster Mage does, so it has to be great. I think it works like both ways. What I'm saying, like comparing it to Snapcaster Mage is like not good for the card in either direction because it's like that card's so like warped.
Definitely. I mean, you can find it off search for Ascanta though, and I mean,
yes,
and I think that's a pretty big game. But we spent a
lot
of time.
Thing.
Oh, go ahead.
That is a thing I do think about when I like build my deck for Search for Ascanta is like how many cards I put in it that I can't find with Search for Ascanta. That is like something I do think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can find it, and it also the ability of Search for Ascanta will mill over cards that will let you then mission briefing back.
Yeah.
It's
so I think we're undecided on this.
Yeah, it's definitely
this
one
card
we'll
is
have
like
to test.
3.5, honestly.
Yep.
Constructed.
That's kind of where I've put it.
I have it as like a 1.5 in constructed.
Ooh.
Wow, that is so low.
Yeah.
Pay the Toll, any dissenting thoughts or anything to add before we move on to the next card? And if you want to throw your number in there.
I'm very much in agreement with everything that was said. I can't really add much to it, so I kind of think if it's going to be really good, it's going to be like a 3.5 in constructed, and if it's going to be really bad, it's going to be like a 1, so...
Yeah, so what's that average? Is that 2.75?
I mean, it's going to be very polarizing either way.
Real quick for limited, I don't think this card's good in limited.
No, I can agree with that.
Unless you have a bunch of removal spells. Like, if you control it, has a bunch of removal spells.
I think this card's great in limited. I think it's great.
Alright.
I think that if you play like some sort of like instant heavy deck, you're gonna want this card. I don't think you can like pack one pick one it, but I think this card will not be taken highly, and then if you are in the deck for it, like you can take it.
I'll agree with you on that.
Yeah. I mean, you'll probably play one if you pick it, but you won't pick it highly enough to really give it a huge number.
I just think that Scry effects in limited are a lot better than they are in constructed half the time. So.
Yeah, fair.
Murmuring Mystic. 3 and a blue for a human wizard. It is a 1/5 and an uncommon. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, create a 1/1 blue bird illusion creature token with flying.
This card's great.
Yeah, the fact that it's a 1/5 for 4 just like can sometimes just brick wall an aggro deck, and plus that it pays you all for running those instants that you're probably going to be running anyway. It's pretty good. Also,
just want to say, playing this card and then playing Divine Visitation and Constructed, and then the following turn just playing a bunch of cantrips seems broken.
You have fun with that deck.
I do want to quickly talk about this card in Constructed.
Yeah.
Ian, do you think this is going to be a player in Constructed?
Yes.
You do? Okay.
Yep.
I do not. I bring this up mostly because Todd Anderson made a deck with it where he had like 4 primal amulets, 4 of this, and he was playing like Goblin Electromancer, and like just like really like just hyper flipping primal amulet, and he had like Tormenting Voices and Charted Horses and stuff, just like cycle through his whole deck. I think that 4 mana is too much for this effect, and because like it's hard to play this card and a bunch of spells in the same turn. And I think that in a deck that plays this card, it doesn't play that many creatures. So I think that your opponent will have removal spells in their hand just because like they won't have other things to spend them on, and then they'll play this, and this will just be like lightning rod, even if they like have to double removal spell or whatever.
I'm okay with them 2 for 1-ing. I would like to make a counter argument that this card is very similar to Sai, except that it's with instants and sorceries, and instants and sorceries are a lot easier to cast than artifacts because they not easier. Sorry, they end up being better in the deck that want them. Like a lot of the decks that Sai would play, or a lot of the artifacts in the Sai deck would just be like these, ornithopters, and the only reason that you're really playing them is for other reasons, obviously.
Right.
But I think that the effect of just like on cast making 1/1s with flying is super super good, and it's a wizard, so it helps with wizard lightning and wizard retort. The 1/5 body is like hard to beat because it doesn't die to the lava coil. So like what happened with the Sai deck was that people started playing more cuts so that they could kill Sai. This also isn't a legendary, so if you ever have multiple of these, you just like go off and it's crazy. I think that there is a chance that you could do some like blue-white deck or like Jeskai deck with that enchantment with this card, because just like playing this card and then like opting a couple times when you have that enchantment out just seems like it's impossible to lose.
I think the most like comparable card to this that we've had in a little while, like Talleyrand, not included, that cycling card with the drakes where you pay 2 mana to get a 2/2 drake. Wasn't that also 4 mana, or was that 3 mana?
That was 3 mana.
That was 3
There's also
mana.
an enchantment.
You also had to pay to make the 2/2s.
Yeah, you also have to pay. You didn't just get it.
Right.
The fact that this is free, like, I don't know. I think this card is really, really cool. I'm definitely going to try to build something around it. I also just really like Divine, whatever it's called. I forget now. But yeah, I love that card, and I think this card could be a workaround with that card.
I think that
the enchantment you're talking about is the one that makes angels, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to clarify.
Yep. So like I said, this card I think is similar to Drakehaven. Drakehaven was never like a tier 1 deck in standard, but it could be fun. I wouldn't mind playing a deck with it, but I don't know if it's good enough.
It's got a big booty, man. I don't know. I think it can survive the red onslaught.
Yeah.
I feel like this card in Constructed could see play out of a sideboard in a control deck for like a Nexus of Fate Mirror.
That's
where the
cool.
person that is able to make the most 1/1 birds probably wins. So
yeah, I actually really like that.
Card.
Yeah.
I don't like it, and I don't see this card being player in Constructed. I think it's very good limited.
Yeah, I think it is very good limited.
I think we can all agree that it's
a
good.
cast trigger, though, not a resolve trigger.
Correct.
So that's the reason why I can see it.
Yeah.
I agree. I think
But
that if
this
it
has to
wasn't a
resolve
cast trigger-
first.
But if you're taking out all of your sweepers in a Nexus of Fate Mirror,
Yeah, but you're bringing in all your disdainful strokes.
I think you're also bringing in negates though.
if you're
And
countering
lines
this
up
and
very well
letting
against negates.
it's a fairy resolve, I think you're losing. So
Right. All right. So do we?
I'm just gonna give a 3.5 in both limited and constructed, and then I have to be right back.
Okay. I'm thinking it's like a 2 in constructed. Probably a 3 in limited.
I'll say 3 to maybe 3.5 in limited. I'm not sure how good it is. I know it's good. I don't think I'll first pick it, so I'll probably have it like it's like probably in between 3.5. And or for limited, I mean.
Right.
For constructed, I have this as a 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at a 3.25 for limited as well, and I think it'll be like a 2 in constructed. I think it definitely could see play out of the sideboard, and I could also see it just being dud. So.
All right. Are we ready for the premier common that I will have a very hard time passing? Muse Drake. Sorry, not Muse Drake. Moose Drake.
That's right, Moose Drake.
It is clearly
Moose Drake.
clearly Moose Drake. I mean, it even has a moose-esque face to it. It's got a very long snout. It's got big wings instead of antlers. It's just Moose Drake. 3 and a
This card
blue
is Moose Drake.
for a 1/3 Drake, even though it's clearly a moose, with flying. Don't know how moose fly. When Moose Drake...
It's a Moose Drake, so...
it's like a hybrid, right? So this is a Simic card. And so just to finish what it does, it has flying, and when Moose Drake enters the battlefield, draw a card. Clearly, it's a Simic seed for the next set. Clearly, the theme for Simic next time is going to be creature mashups, as well as drawing a card. You heard it here first. The Simic theme is drawing cards. It is not +1/+1 counters, because +1/+1 counter friendship has ended. Friendship with drawing cards has upgraded to a marriage. I think this card's fine in limited. Probably will not see constructed play. Definitely will not see constructed play. Yep. Boring, other than the fact it's named Moose Drake.
Yeah, other than the fact that it's Moose Drake, that has no real redeeming qualities. This card's like not unplayable, but I don't know. I'm not into playing this. Like 1/3 for 4 is like so small.
Yeah, I mean it's not the
2.5 in limited.
Yeah, that's probably where I am too. I shouldn't have used the word premium. I just wanted to hype up Moose Drake. I apologize. Didn't mean to lie to my faithful viewers.
Moose Drake's great.
Yeah. All right, let's.
I have this as like 2, maybe 2.1. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have it very high.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one. All right, we have to quickly talk about Narcomoebo before Ian gets back, because I feel like we might talk about it forever. Narcomoebo, 1 and a blue, illusion for a 1/1, flying. When Narcomoeba is put into your graveyard from your library, you may put it onto the battlefield. So if you self-mill yourself, you can get a 1/1 flyer. If you surveil, you can get a 1/1 flyer. Card. People are going to try it in constructed. It's a rare, so like limited implications are just pretty bad.
Quickly.
I mean, a 1/1 flyer, meh, in that, and I don't think it's good enough in constructed, even though I love to talk about it.
1.5 in limited. This card's not very good.
Yep. And
obviously gets better if you have mentor creatures, but like it's blue, so it's not really a big mentor color. Yeah, it's a 1/1 flyer most of the time. Like, you need a lot of surveil, and even then, sometimes you won't mill it.
Right.
And if you like live the dream and you mill it, you get a 1/1 flyer. It's
just like wow, you worked really hard for a 1/1 flyer. Like, even this uncommon that we're going to talk about now, before Ian quickly gets back, Nightveil Sprite, 1 and a blue for a fairy rogue. Again, very important. Rogue tribal coming to modern near you. So it's 1 and a blue for a 1/2 flying fairy rogue. When Nightveil Spectre attacks, surveil 1. I think this card is pretty solid and limited. I don't know if
this card stinks because my Nightveil Spectre is not in the set, so you never get to surveil 1.
Fair. Yeah. I don't know. I like the card. If there's like a white weenie aggro deck, a blue weenie aggro deck, similar to the Favorable Winds deck that people tried with like Curiosity and such, this might see play there in constructed, but in limited, I think I'm gonna take it. Probably not super highly, but I'll probably play them.
There are multiple 2-power, 2-mana flyers in constructed.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
this card won't see play there.
Okay.
In limited, it's interesting. Like, I feel like surveilling 1 every turn is like pretty good, but like,
yeah,
I don't know. This card feels like a slightly worse Looter Ilkor.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is like fine. Like, Looter Ilkor is obviously better because you get to like loot away the lands you've already drawn, and it's just you get to scry every turn. I don't know. This card's like probably a 2.5.
Yeah,
maybe a little bit lower than that.
That's kind of where I had that one.
Kind of in the lower end for uncommons, I think.
Yeah. Aaron, got any opinions on this one?
Again, it's probably about the same in constructed as you guys had said, and limited. I think it's probably closer to a 3 as it's an uncommon, and I doubt they would have made it an uncommon if it wasn't very playable. So
right. I feel like Omnispell Adept is also going to be one we can quickly get through. It's not very good for constructed or even limited. 4 and a blue for a 3/4 human wizard. It has an activated ability. 2 and a blue. Tap it. You may cast an instant or sorcery card from your hand without paying its mana cost.
So this is not a constructed card. This card will not see playing constructed.
Right.
No, you can't. You can't play the just guy with the Boros guy. This guy, the new Boros Reckoner, and the deal 20 to everything and destroy land.
Yeah.
Star of Extinction.
Yep.
No, that's not a thing.
No,
you can't do that.
Definitely not a thing.
Not very good.
If you're going to do that, just build white-red and play the Star of Extinction. Like, don't.
So this card for limited though, I think it's like pretty fine. I like that you can cast sorceries at instant speed with this.
Yeah, that is kind of cool.
Because there's like a lot of like cool sorceries that are like, oh, why isn't this card an instant? And it's like, well, now they are.
Yeah. But it's a rare, and I don't think you'll take it that highly. So like.
No, this card's like a 3.
Yeah.
Right. Like maybe a little bit higher than a 3.
Higher than a 3?
Yeah. Well, I'm not okay. So when I evaluate cards, I ignore the rarity.
Yeah. Sure.
Right?
Sure. Yeah.
Like I'm not. This card's just like this card being a 3 and like a common being a 3. It means they're the same value. Right?
Yeah, that's fair.
So, like, I don't think this card is. This card's like fine. It's like a 3, maybe slightly higher than a 3. It's like an average level, like maybe slightly below average level uncommon. A 3/4 again, and as we've seen in this set, the bodies are not very big. 3/4 is like decent size.
Yeah.
And like the ability is not completely irrelevant.
Yeah. The only time I'm looking forward to opening this card is when they eventually add it to magical mind cubes, and I can cast Cruel Ultimatum at instant speed for 3 mana.
Yeah.
That's about the only way I'm excited for it. I'm gonna give it like a 2 in limited. I'm not a big fan. It just seems slow, and just like maybe it's because I just looked at it right next to white, which seemed hyper aggro. But like I don't want to spend 5 mana for a 3/4 and then like hope that I draw the right combination of cards in limited. It's not what I want to be doing.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything that makes me want to cast any spells off of this with big mana spells. Seems like a lot of the big mana things in this set so far have been Evoke. If I see anything that changed my mind, I'd rate it higher, but I'm at about a 2 in limited and a 1.5 for funsies and memes and constructed, because Apex of Power and this card are going to be best friends.
Oh yeah, I am definitely looking forward to seeing some brewers like Comley Woods bust out a Omnispell Adept Apex of Power deck, and I'll probably then net deck it and try it in some 1v1 queues, take some cool screenshots, post them to Discord, and then promptly forget about the deck.
Pretty much.
Passwell Adept, 1 and a blue for a 1/3. It has a activated ability of 2 and a blue. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. This card seems pretty good in exactly limited. Being able to dump your mana and get through board stalls seems pretty important and a pretty good aspect for limited.
This is also just like one of the red blocks that blue wants for like those aggressive Boros decks we've seen.
Right. Yep. The 1/3 blocks well, blocks their 2/1s.
The classic 1/3. This one has like a good ability attached to it.
Yep. It's good early game. You can either trade off with like the Mentor 3-drop, trade up on mana, or you can just block their 2x's all day. Yeah, I think
also it's like not a tap ability, so like if you get to the late game and you have 9 mana, you can just make 3 things unblockable.
Yep, definitely.
We can
this is a solid 3.25, I think. I saw it in the pre-release before, and like this chick had to literally, or one of the chicks had to kill it literally because it was going to kill the next turn rather than kill the best card on the opponent's side of the field. So this requires an answer and requires it fast.
Yep.
100% I have it between a 2.5 and a 3. It might be closer to a 3 just because like I haven't seen as many like good 2-drops in blue.
Right. All right, time for quasi-duplicate. It is 1 blue for a sorcery. It is a rare. Create a token that's a copy of target creature you control. It also has a jumpstart. The fact that it's a sorcery makes it probably too. I don't know. I don't know if it's good enough for anything at a sorcery. Like,
it's an instant with your Omnispell Adept.
Sure. I don't know. I know you said you don't really look at rarity, but in draft, that's 2 rares that you have to assemble together.
No, yeah, I know. I was just like, this card. I think I will not first pick this card.
No.
I do think it's good.
Yeah,
I do think
definitely.
that you get to copy your best creature, and then later in the game, turn a land into your best creature again.
Yeah, that's very reasonable. And if they have good enter the battlefield effects, you get those triggers
Jumpstart on this
again.
card for limited is very important.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
There's a card oh, sorry. Go ahead.
it's way better in limited than it is in normal constructed, for sure. You said there's an old card, right?
There's a card from Innistrad that reminds me of this card a lot. I forget exactly what it's called.
Yeah.
Crap. Yep. And that card was incredibly good and limited.
That one was also an instant, right?
Yeah, it was an instant.
Yeah.
It was still incredibly good, and a lot of times it just the fact that you could cast it twice in the game, just you know,
but
say you can counter or copy that 5/6 flyer that, or what 5/4 flyer that surveils twice when it dies.
Yeah.
Like copying that twice is just game over probably. So
yeah. Yeah, and I'm with you on that one. I think Cackling Counterpart was just way better because it was also a combat trick. Like, not only was it a copy of your best creature, it was also a combat trick on top of that, which is what I think makes it above and beyond anything that Quasi-Duplicate ever wishes it could be.
I also think this card's, like, I think higher than a 3, but maybe not quite a 3.5, maybe around between there. I think this card has no constructed applications. I don't think this card will see play anyway.
Yeah, I had it like a 2.5.
I think it's at least 3. I think every blue deck will play this.
Yeah, every deck that can play blue will play this card.
Yeah, I mean, I guess time will tell. I'll probably lose to it like 3 times in a row and be like, "Wow, that was dumb. Why did I ever say that live on the internet?" And then regret it. And when we do our sunset show, I'll be like, "Wow, I was the wrongest at Quasi-Duplicate."
Pretty much.
Yeah. Radical Idea. 1 in a blue for an instant. Draw a card. Jumpstart. It's fine. Like, it's a common, so like
it's think twice, right?
Yeah, it's think twice. Yeah.
I think somebody said think 1.5 times.
Yeah. Whoever called it think 1.5 times was right on the money. I'd probably play this in limited. I don't know if it really has too many constructed applications. It is cheap and it does draw a card, so it might have a little bit of constructed application, but I don't know.
This card's filler in limited for the most part, unless you have a bunch of like cards that care about instants and sorceries, then it becomes better, obviously.
Yep.
In constructed, I don't see this card. Like there are between Anticipate, Chart of Course, Opt. Like there's so much
cheap
that I would
card
play
draw.
with this
Yeah,
card.
definitely.
Yeah, I think Radical Idea. Sorry, I'm back, but yeah, I think Radical Idea is not good.
Yeah, I don't think it's playable in constructed. I think in limited it's like a 2, maybe slightly higher than 2. And if you have if you're Izzet and you care about spells, then it becomes like a 2.5 or maybe a little bit higher. I don't think it ever reaches like a 3 quite yet, though.
Right. Yeah. Anything else to add on Radical Idea? Filler and limited. Probably not constructed playable.
Think 1.5 times.
Yep.
I mean, if it's think twice, it'd be way better. So.
Yes.
Yep. All right. Selective Snare. X and a blue. Return X target creatures of the creature type of your choice to their owner's hand.
This card's so weird.
Yeah, it's very weird. I've been trying to pay attention to the creature types. There are obviously a lot of soldier tokens, as shown on the card art here. But I don't know.
So I thought about this card a lot ever since we talked about this a little bit earlier today. But I thought about this card a lot, and I've kind of come to the conclusion that if you're an aggressive blue deck, this card is good. But like If you're not, this card is not good. Like, I don't think it's good card is good in like a controlling Dimir card deck. But I think if this is ever 3-mana bounce 2 creatures in like aggressive tempo based deck, I think it's like quite good.
Yeah. Kind of agree with that.
It's hard, yeah. It's selective. Like, you don't get to bounce, like, even when it's 3-mana bounce 2 things, a lot of times you're not gonna be able to, like, you might not be able to bounce their best thing, or you're gonna have to choose between bouncing their best thing and bouncing 2 other things, right?
Right.
Like, so it's not great, but in the right deck, if this bounces 2 things, that could be very powerful in a tempo-oriented deck.
Definitely. So, got some numbers for me, or any other thoughts?
Limited only.
Yeah, limited only.
I don't think I see it having constructed things going for it. Probably pretty good against Selesnya as a sideboard card.
Yeah.
For all
There's
those
like
tokens.
I think it's like a 2.5. I think you're going to main deck it most of the time if you're the deck that wants it.
And if you're bringing it out of the sideboard, it'll be a very strong sideboard card.
Yeah.
So if you can just undo all of their mentoring.
Yep. That's kind of where I had it too, 2.5.
Yeah,
2.5
2.5 sounds good. I don't really have much else to say besides what you guys had.
Unplayable otherwise.
Yeah. So here is our disallow replacement. Sinister Sabotage. 1 blue for an instant. It's an uncommon. Counter target spell. Surveil 1.
Yeah. So there's like, interestingly enough, there's like 2 hard 3-mana counter spells in this set. I'm actually not sure which one will see more play. I think most people think this one will see more play, but I'm kind of in between. I like the other one, but this card is very good. It is, in a vacuum, the best counter spell, like, going forward for like just hard counter.
Yep.
Dissolve is good. This card's better than Dissolve.
Right.
It's Surveillance of the Scry.
Yep.
Yeah. Staple and standard going forward.
Definitely.
I actually think this card is in sealed. Like, if I open this card in sealed and I'm blue, I will absolutely play this card. Like, basically 100% of the time. In draft, I think I'll play 1, but I don't think I'll play a bunch, and I won't take it super highly. I think I'll take it around like 4th to 5th pick, and I have to be like I have to be wanting to be controlling, right?
Right.
But like, I think having a counterspell is fine in this format.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty close to you on that one as well.
Yeah.
2
like pretty obvious.
Limited.
Pretty obvious staple and standard.
Yep. I think it's like a 4 in constructed. It'll just be seen in all the blue decks that want a counter spell for 3 mana. And I think it's fine in limited. If you want to be like a control deck.
4 ranking.
4 ranking.
Both.
Yeah, I think it's actually both.
If it's a 4 of and if it's a 4 of and like a consistent standard archetype, it's probably a 4 in the rating system.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Thoughtbound Phantasm. 1 blue mana for a 2/2 for a spirit. It has Defender, which means it can't normally attack. When you surveil, put a +1/+1 counter on Thoughtbound Phantasm. As long as Thoughtbound Phantasm has 3 or more +1/+1 counters on it, it can attack as though it didn't have Defender.
Oh, this card. I love this card so much.
You love this card so much?
Oh yeah, I think this card's great. I like this card. I will not be unhappy to first pick this card in draft.
Interesting.
And maybe that's like, I really like Surveil, and like I like I like Dimir in this format probably more than I should, because I think Boros is probably better. But this is the kind of card that I'm very into. Like, this card with a bunch of Surveil cards becomes very like busted very fast.
Definitely.
I also think this card has constructive applications. I think that there are a bunch of Surveil cards that are constructor playable, and I think this card is a fine sideboard card in a deck that just has a bunch of Surveil cards. It may possibly a main deck card. Or like I was messing around with a Surveil deck that had like the. We'll get to it. It's a black card that like you can basically rebuy it whenever you Surveil.
Oh yeah.
And I had like 4 of this in the sideboard, as like kind of like a transformational. You go from the control to like beat down. I think this card is quite good.
Yeah, I think I'll have to see your list and maybe play with it a little bit before I say I like that. But I don't know. This card confuses me. It's again one of those cards I actually didn't have any notes for because it's so weird.
It is weird.
This is one of those cards I was talking about with the mono blue Surveil 2 card being really good. Because if you can just give your opponents 2/2 first striker with Mentor, -3/-0, and you make your guy 3/3, you just eat it.
Yeah.
And that's, pretty good if you're trying to be defensive, surveil, just kind of look for answers and beat them down with a 5/5 after 3 or 4 turns.
Yeah.
Kind of deck. So I think this card's great.
Yeah, I mean, it is a 1-mana 2/2, and that can gum up some works.
If this had flying, it'd be better, but unfortunately it doesn't.
If it had flying, I'd main deck 4. I would main deck 4 of this in standards. Like this card is already very good.
Yeah. So we got any numbers on this one?
3.5 in limited, 2.5 in constructed.
I'm probably gonna go 3 and 3.
Okay. Again, I don't really know how to evaluate this one, so I'm gonna have to sit my number out on that one, just because I don't know. It's confusing to me.
I think this is one of the best one of the top 2 payoffs for Surveil and Dimir. So I'd probably put it at like a 3.25, 3.5. And I would say in constructed it's probably a 2, because I don't see it being played main deck, but I could see it out of the sideboard.
Interesting. Unexplained Disappearance. It's 1 in a blue for a common. It's an instant. Return target creature to its owner's hand. Surveil 1. I think this card's serviceable. It's pretty good and limited. It's a good tempo card. Bouncing somebody's creature that you can't otherwise, deal with. It being instant speed's pretty good. If they tap out for some big bomb, you just bounce it back to their hand, delay it for a turn to look for an answer, like a real answer to it.
I'm usually not the biggest fan of Disperse, which this is not exactly Disperse because it only hits creatures, but it's like similar enough to compare.
Right.
But again, if you care about Surveil, like I'd much rather play this card than the card that gives -3/-0, right? Yeah. So like, I am not unhappy playing this card, right? Because it has Surveil, and like if I care about cards that say Surveil, then I'm like actively pretty happy. So I think this card's like normally a 2, but if you care about Surveil, it becomes like a 2.5 in limited. I don't think it has any constructed applications.
Yeah.
That's unsummons legal.
I think that's telling us that Surveil is worth a mana is based off this card.
Yeah.
And that makes a lot of the other cards make me feel like they're dramatically, like the 1 mana Surveil 2 give -0 or -3/-0 is like you're getting a really good rate for that. So I feel like this is kind of the baseline for that.
I don't know if this card means that Surveil's worth a mana.
Well, if you look at Unsummon is 1 blue.
Yeah, but they don't always print Unsummon. Like, this card's just a common. Like, they've printed, like, 2 mana bounce a creature before with, like, no other text.
But we have historical base off this card, right?
What do you mean?
We have something to go off of that we can say.
Yeah, but Unsummon's not the only card that returns a creature to its hand, right? There have been 2 mana Unsummons.
Definitely. Oh, yeah.
Unsummon's just, like, the classic one because it costs 1 mana and it's been printed more often. Like...
But then wouldn't that be the baseline if it's been printed more often?
No, because different formats need different things. Like, you can't print 1 mana Unsummon in every format. Like, sometimes they want to make it 2 mana.
Exactly, they made 2 mana Unsummon Surveil 1.
Yeah, I don't think that equates 1-to-1 to Surveil being worth a mana.
I think you can make a reasonable assessment that you can do that, though.
I think Unsummon is just better in constructed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
100% in constructed. What about limited?
I could see this being playable in limited. I don't know. I think that you're gonna put it in your deck sometimes if you want it. If you want like a bounce effect, the Surveil is nice. I think that blue needs these kind of effects to be like playable, especially in the tempo versions of like blue-red. So I would say this is probably like a 2.5, 3 in limited, and then like unplayable in constructed because unsummon exists.
Yep, I added it as a 2.5 as well. All right.
Let's go to the Blue Man group.
Oh yeah, the Vidalcan Memerist.
Yeah.
1 in a blue. Vidalcan Mesmerist is what it's actually called, but it's really just Vidalcan Memerist. It is a 2/1 for a Vidalcan Wizard, and whenever it attacks, target creature an opponent controls gets -2, -0 until end of turn.
This guy really does look like just like one of the Blue Men group got lost, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like
It's Tobias Bluth, who just blew himself.
Yep.
It's just, I mean, Tobias Bluth, the Vidalcan Memerist.
This card's boring. It's not very good.
Yep.
I think generally blue decks are going to want the 1/3 more than this card, but like,
Yep.
this is definitely more aggressive, right? It makes blocking harder.
Right.
So like in a blue-red is a deck, this card's like fine.
Yep.
But it's like just fine.
Yep. So probably like a 1.5 in limited. And...
No, I'll have it be like a 2.
Really?
I've consistently rated all the Bears 2s, so I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Any other thoughts on the Memerist before we move on to Wall of Mist and start wrapping up blue?
It's definitely a meme of 2s.
Yeah, same.
Yep. Wall of Mist. It is 1 in a blue for an 0/5 creature wall. It has Defender, so it can attack. Good at gumming up the ground.
Yeah, it's
got
just a
those
classic wall mist.
Yep.
Does it have constructed applications with your boy, the Banddragon?
Arcades?
I don't think so. But like,
Not unless the next Ravnica set like pushes defenders even harder. When we get to green, there is some like defender seed, which makes me think that maybe Simic might be, having some defender sub theme, but
theoretically, if you go hard with Arcadis, like this card is this card's like up there on the list of like playable defenders that you play with it. Right?
Yeah.
So
and then your opponent just uses that 4/2 mana black kill spell, kills your Arcades at the beginning of your combat, and you're like, oh, well, I guess we're doing this now. And then you just...
Or they just counter your Arcades, and you're just like, yeah, my deck is nothing.
Yep, pretty much. Pretty much. So that actually... Oh, nope, there's 2 more...
There's 2 more cards,
Yeah, there's 2 more blue cards. Huh, how about that? I guess I didn't scroll down far enough. Okay, Watcher in the Mist. 3 blue for a creature, spirit. It is a 3/4. It has flying, and when Watcher in the Mist enters the battlefield, Surveil 2. I think this is closer to Cloud Reader Sphinx.
Yeah, this is just Cloud Reader Sphinx, but it costs 2 blue instead of 1 blue, and it's Surveil 2.
Yep, and so, Cloud Reader Sphinx was really good in its run performance. Yep.
Yeah, this card's gonna be very good. Again, 3/4 is like pretty good in this format. Like we've seen a lot of smaller bodies. Again, we haven't seen green yet, so maybe green will bring the beef, but so far the beef has not been brought.
Yep.
Yeah, this card's good.
Yep.
It's good.
This is just the cloud. This is the Cloud Reader Sphinx that I know and love.
Yeah.
Yep. And like we said, Cloud Reader Sphinx, very, very good and limited. So take this
3.5.
About
somewhere.
3.5. Take it as highly as you took Cloud Reader Sphinx if you did well. If you didn't take Cloud Reader Sphinx and didn't do well, then obviously something's wrong. Draft this, do well. I mean, #pro advice. I did come in second at a pre-release one time, so clearly I'm the person qualified to be giving out draft advice.
I forgot to give my achievements. I top 8 in FNM one time.
Oh, top 8 in FNM.
Yeah.
Was it limited?
An 8-man FNM.
Oh, nice. That's pretty impressive.
Well, how many trophies did you have for that limited format?
For that limited format, I honestly don't remember.
For Dominaria?
Yeah, like
you didn't play much Dominaria?
Not a whole lot, to be honest. I think probably like 2 or 3, maybe. I don't remember. It was so long ago.
Didn't have enough Cloud Raider Finks, obviously.
Obviously not.
Yeah.
Obviously not.
Yeah, drop the Watchers in the Mist next.
Yeah, that's right. How many times have you drafted Cloud Raider Sinks, Tyler? Have you even played Limited before?
Maybe once or twice.
Have you even played Limited before?
Yeah. Wish
Let's
Coin.
get the.
Yeah, we gotta get the money crab in here. I bet at least one of us will have a lot of opinions about this because, like I said, it is called Wishcoin Crab. It's 3 and a blue for a creature crab. It has no text other than a flavor text, and it's a 2/5.
Read the flavor text, please, because it's very good.
Okay. What wishes do they grant? Mostly pinching-related ones.
Got
Omnic,
him.
Superintendent of the Waterworks. Man.
So do you guys know the like nickname? This card already has a nickname, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. So in like the FFL or whatever for like the during development, the name for this card was Wisconsin Crab.
Yep.
Okay. Interesting.
I like Wisconsin crabs. I get them all the time.
So I'm sure you do, Aaron.
Yeah, that's right. I think you got to be more selective on who you swipe left on there, Aaron.
Yeah. Anyway, this card I think this card's slightly better than it looks. Again, 2/5 big butt.
Yeah.
Like blocks, which is kind of what you want your blue decks to do. It seems like.
Wasn't there a vanilla in like Dominaria that had very similar stats to this?
Oh yeah, there was.
I can't remember the name of it.
Wasn't that card white?
Was
I
it?
don't think there's something else.
I think there was a blue one. I can't remember, but I mean, it was fine if you needed to stem the bleeding against some aggro decks. But if this card's in the pack and that 1/3 that surveilled, you take the 1/3 every time. Or was it a 1/4?
Yeah, for sure.
I think it was a 1/3.
No, it was a 1/4. It was Sailor Means.
Yeah, that's right.
No, it was a 1/4.
Oh, it was a 1/4. Yeah. You take the.
It was literally Sailor Means.
Yep, you take the fake Sailor memes every time over Wishcoin Crab. I think I would. So that wraps up blue. Any
Cool.
parting thoughts on blue before we wrap up this recording?
Abadi die.
I don't think that it's necessarily the color you want to be in. I think that at least white looked a lot stronger than blue.
Yeah, I'll agree. White definitely looked better than blue for like commons at least.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I think there's a song about this, like, I'm blue, dappa dee dappa die.
Oh,
I already made a joke.
I was thinking
Like,
there was a song about.
Blue's gonna die.
I think there was a song about it called "Ocean Man." Take me by the hand, lead me to the land.
Ocean Man.
Too many.
Is it because the ocean's blue?
jokes.
Yeah, it depends on what ocean you go to. Like the oceans around here, not very blue, very
You know what the
dark.
oceans typically reflect the sky, right?
Yeah.
We're a science cast
Ooh,
now.
we're a science podcast now. Hey, maybe we can get Elon Musk on here to talk about science with us.
Yeah,
Muskers, my boy Muskers.
That's the goal, at Elon Musk.
That's the goal.
Yeah, that's the goal here. So everybody watching this, tweet the link that's timestamped to this and say, "Hey, at Elon Musk, please go on name of podcast here," because I think it would be really, really fun. All right, everybody do that as soon as this video is uploaded to YouTube with this exact timestamp. I think the campaign can really get there. Like we can just Skype him in, it'd be perfect.
So true.
Yeah, get him.
I'll just join the Discord, obviously.
Yeah, exactly, and just like, make a private channel for him, and like that only we can talk to him in. It'd be great, and like everybody else just has to watch. Oh, it's perfect. Good old Muskers. Anyway, anyway.
I have no words.
Okay.
No words for that one.
So we're gonna wrap up the YouTube video here. If you're watching on YouTube, there are more videos to come. We will be reviewing the rest of the set in the coming days and/or weeks, depending on how our schedules line up. So please click that subscribe button, and you can catch up on on our little podcast that we are starting here. If you are watching on Twitch and have not already hit that follow button, please do. And if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, please consider subscribing using that free Amazon Prime subscription, as it helps me, the streamer, and continues the stream and helps me put out more content such as this. Conversely, if you're watching on YouTube and don't follow on Twitch, you should do that. And if you're watching on Twitch and don't follow on YouTube, you should do that. Because, I mean, it's free and followings are great. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for tuning me out. Hey, looky here. Thank you to the Zoo Crew Ian Klein MTG, gifted by good old Pay the Toll, aka Aaron, who is one of the members of the podcast. If you get gifted a sub, don't forget that during the month of September, you can renew your subscription for a whopping $1, and I still get the full benefits of that. So, like I said, thank you for tuning in, and thank you for tuning me out. For William, signing off of name of podcast here.